Finally, we have Professor Yusuke Honda. Professor Honda is a distinguished expert in public international law with a particular specialization in the law of the sea. For the past 15 years, his research has been dedicated to the crucial and complex issue of marine biodiversity in areas beyond national jurisdiction. As a leading voice on contemporary ocean policy and international law, we are honored to have him share his insights with us today. We are privileged to have Ms. Fabriani Sabitira, who will be reporting for this day. The stage is set for a powerful and thought-provoking discussion. Please join me in giving a very warm welcome to our moderator, Mr. Deepak Shetty, along with our panelist speakers.
Welcome. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the post-lunch session. My task is really cut out. It's pretty onerous when you reassemble. This is typical siesta time. I hope we can wake you up from your slumber in the next hour and a half. The task is also a bit challenging because the nomenclature is maritime boundaries and dispute settlement or resolution. In a lighter vein, this is a world which is characterized by anything but resolution. There are disputes galore, and generally you don't see a resolution in the horizon. But I'm kidding. I just meant it in a lighter vein. At the outset, I'm deeply honored and privileged to be here amidst all of you this afternoon. And ab initio, I must express my profound gratitude, personally as well as on behalf of the panel, for this very gracious invite extended to all of us. This is to the US Naval War College, the World Maritime University, and the Gujarat Maritime University, among other academic institutions of repute. I also have with me a very eclectic panel who will lay out their presentations in regard to the thematic significance of what we're going to be dealing with it in the next hour and a half. I'm truly delighted and I look forward to this an hour and a half of the challenge is to navigate a complex theme such as this. But hopefully, I think we'll be able to do justice at the end of the day. A few preliminary remarks, just to set the scene and the context. If you look at the international landscape, and dare I say even the seascape, it's truly characterized by cataclysmic changes, seismic changes that are happening in the global order. There's a paradigm shift, so to speak. No polemics or controversies intended here. So don't please get me wrong, from a unipolar to probably a multipolar world as we see it unfolding from now. And that clearly has implications on a subject such as this. If that was not enough to this mix, you also have this heady cocktail of the literal breakdown of international institutions. You look at the governing architecture which developed post the Second World War. You had several multilateral institutions which came into play. Systemically and systematically, I think there is a decline. And if I may be a bit contrarian, some of them perhaps are in terminal decline. Just to give you an example, please don't get me wrong again here, the World Trade Organization. I think it's a stellar instance where I think it began with immense promise post the Marrakesh Agreement in 1995 when the WTO was created. But look at the stasis, the complete logjam in the dispute settlement body, the DSP or the DSM of the WTO. It's not been reconstituted for a start. for the past 4 years, and there is a complete pile-up of disputes from various countries agitating for a resolution. None of that is happening. It probably would be alarmist for me to say the epitaph of the WTO is being written, well and truly, but anyway, we leave it at that. The other attribute which, again, jumps to my mind is the fact that the rules-based order, quote unquote, that is so characteristic of this institutional framework is again virtually getting tossed out of the window. It's no more fair game as such. It's literally might is right, so to speak. And then you have also the emergence of the blue or the green economy, whatever nomenclature you wish to attach. Now, in this, you have a scenario which is likely to unfold where extraction and exploitation of vital seabed mineral resources, there's going to be a power play in that respect, with clear implications on maritime security, maritime safety, and more importantly, on the overall dynamics of dispute resolution as it would arise in that paradigm going forward. Just let me take you back into what UNCLOS specifies as the mechanism of resolving litigation, or more importantly, disputes. I'll quote that. It's stipulated that disputes are settled by an agreement, please mark the words I wish to underscore, by an agreement basis international law, which is the second nuance to that, in order to achieve an equitable solution. So you need an agreement, which typically is by consensus, difficult under the current circumstances as I see it in the near horizon. Second, basis international law. There is a large question mark as to how we deal with this. And thirdly, what do we imply by an equitable solution? To whom is it equitable? Is it for the larger global commons? That's how it ought to be. But we'll park that thought for now at that. If you look at the various mechanisms of resolving maritime disputes, generally 90% of these, empirically, as observed over a period of time, have sort of been resolved through negotiations, which is the most optimal track to follow. And then, of course, you can get into slightly more litigious routes, such as arbitration, conciliation, and then, of course, referral to the ITLOS, the International Tribunal of the Law of the Sea, or even the ICJ. So these mechanisms being what they are, also the fact that through bilateral negotiations between sovereign parties, most of these disputes, particularly the boundary disputes, can get resolved. With this, the just final piece before I request my panelists to come in, some of the most obvious disputes that are currently prevalent, if you scan the globe, of course, that's the one in the South China Sea, where there is a near contempt for an international verdict, and that's on a continuum, complete disregard of the rules-based order there, and with possibly no resolution in the near horizon. Then there are, of course, disputes for us in the Indian subcontinent. There have been disputes between Bangladesh and Myanmar. There are disputes, if you look at the South American continent, between Nicaragua and Colombia. Then you have, as between in the European continent, you have disputes